Hi, I'm Tim Corley with Lissmac Corporation. We traveled down to Harahan, Louisiana to hear from Latrim about how the SBM S2 1500 is doing in their production facility.
My name is Brett Tucker. I'm a fabrication supervisor here at Latrim Machinery. We've been in the fabrication business for almost 70 years. We do anything from building seafood processing equipment, just sheet metal parts, OEM and job shop. We also laser cut all of our sheet metal with a fiber laser. The majority of it tends to be 11 gauge or thicker. So we usually have a good bit of dross to deal with after the laser cutting process. Everything that we have gets deburred. We did have an old time saver, but it was really inconsistent. Didn't really get everything that we needed, and it would grind the plates, but it wouldn't actually round the edges. So we'd still have to do that process ourselves. Yep. So we pretty much, put that piece of equipment back in the back room and never touched it. And we just did everything by hand because it was better quality. We used to have to grind in multiple stages each and every single part. So we would hit the slag off with a heavy sanding pad with a handheld right angle grinder. And then we would come back with a mid-range pad and then finish it off with a smooth pad on every single part, whether it was small, large, it didn't matter. So this was a pretty lengthy process, and it took 4 or 5 guys working in that area all the time to be able to keep up with this. And even so, at the time when we used to do everything by hand, we didn't have as much work as we do now. Our company's grown tremendously in the last few years, and now we're at the point where if we had to grind by hand, we'd really be in a bind. So now with the Lissmac, we can pass parts through 1, 10, 20, doesn't matter, all at the same time in one pass. It rounds the inside geometry and the outside. There's not really any more you can ask for. It does the same job every single time. I don't have to keep going back to my guys and, hey, you missed this one little sharp spot here, we got to do this. We have pieces of equipment that sometimes they don't get to the assembly process, and then one of the assembly guys will find a little small a burr or something that will affect the product's performance, or is just something that is not suitable to send to a customer or even when you're assembling it.
So would you say that the Lissmac machine has provided you consistent, safe, quality edges for your parts?
Absolutely, no doubt. 100% of the time, all the time. Every part we put through it comes out the same way every time, exactly how we want it. And we even kind of go overboard with it. We run the machine a little bit slower than most people do, but it doesn't really matter. We could run the machine at full speed, wide open, and the parts would still be good enough quality for what we're trying to do.
Tell me about the consumable life on the sand block belts. What kind of hours do you get? Lissmac recommends that you should be getting from 300 hours to 500 hours on the sand block belts. What do you guys get?
I mean, usually depending on workload and how many parts we're running through and stuff like that, we average no less than 400 hours on our blocks. We have gotten more. We've actually gotten a lot more than 500. It's all about what parts you pass through, the setting of the machine. It just comes down to taking care of the piece of equipment, monitoring the belts, making sure that nothing is damaging them. Sometimes if you try to put a part smaller than you should in there, it can kick out to the side and the belts will sit there and wear on it. And that causes increased wear really fast. But when we just run plates, normal production, we get well over 500 hours out of those belts, and we really kind of change them when we know it's getting close, but not when it's needed. You can run those belts down to almost nothing. We were changing the belts about once every 8 months or so. One of our concerns as well in the beginning was consumables. There's a lot of blocks on this belt, but when you weigh out everything, if you're going to pay 5 guys to sit there and hand deburr over and over again, go through hundreds of small pads in a day, it stands out. You don't have to try to make a case for the machine. You just let the machine do its thing, and the data will prove it. the business growth for this company has come from this product.
Brett, I'd like to thank you and your time that you've spent with us to give us your testimonial and how to get the Lissmac Edge for other customers that are looking into this process. Latrim's been a great partner with us, and we really value your business.
Latrim would like to thank Lissmac, and I'm sure some of the guys out on the shop floor would give you a hug if you walked out there right now, because they've hugged us, once we bought that machine. It's made their lives much easier, made their job much easier, made it much faster. It's better for production. It helps with team morale. If they're not dealing with issues, not sitting there doing all this craziness every day, it really makes a difference in the shop. It helps us maintain our culture of high efficiency, precision sheet metal shop. There isn't another machine we can do it with.